Hello everyone, welcome back to Throttle Grotto. Today I'm working on the 928. I know it's been a while, but I found one of the missing pieces that I've been looking for since I bought the car. One of the missing pieces that I've been trying to find and is extremely tough to find for the 928 is the front spoiler. And I found one. Now, it's all in one piece. Somebody painted it, which is okay. I'm going to work on that. I've been working on it a little bit, but I figured I would show you guys the process that I'm going to use to get this thing back to looking good. And also, like, I gotta be super careful with this thing. I also got the air ducts for it that go from the spoiler to the brakes, and I got 928 parts in the garage everywhere, and the air ducts that go in the spoiler, little spoiler holes here to run air to the ducts. So, like, super cool find that I was able to find everything that I needed to put this all into the car, and it's going to look so good with all this stuff in it. But I have to make all this stuff look good before it goes into the good-looking car. So that's what we're doing today. I'm just going to sand this thing down with various stages, and then we're going to cover it in some trim paint. It's got a little flexibility to it. It's made for bumpers and stuff like that. And it is freezing out here. So I'm going to start warming up the shop, sand this thing, and then hopefully get the shop warm enough that I can do a little bit of painting inside. All right, one of the only issues that I've found with this spoiler, I'm not even going to talk about the issues in the shop right now because my shop's a mess. Like, this is literally the only place I can do this right now. So right here, pointed out with something sharp and pointy, right here I have a crack in the spoiler, and you can see there. So I'm just going to I just kind of got it wedged in here between the, the angle grinder and whatever else is holding it up over there. And I'm just going to do a repair in here. And I'm just going to use so I have a little plastic welding kit with a kind of a modified soldering gun. And I'm just going to mash a bunch of stuff in here and then flip it over and do the same thing. All right, so it's not super pretty, but you'll never see it unless you take the spoiler off the car. But hopefully that reinforces this little area just enough to keep it from flexing. Well, I mean, it only really has to protect it while I'm getting ready to put it on the car. So got a stud there that's bent that I'll have to straighten that out before I put it on. But otherwise, this thing's ready to wipe down, and I'm going to try this paint out and see how it works. I'm going to wipe these down with wax and grease remover and then hit them with the heat gun. Try to dry them off as best I can in this cold shop. It's like 50 degrees in here today, so Okay, so what I'm using is just this Duplicolor trim and bumper paint. I just went and bought it from my local auto parts store. Flexible finish, black. So we'll see how well this works. All right, so I used the heat gun on this stuff to dry it out a little bit faster. Looks like it comes to dries to like a satin finish, so I think it'll look pretty well once it's fully dry. It looks way better than the silver, and a million times better than not having a spoiler at all. So, but my overspray instantly went all the way across and covered my cabinet. So I am not going to spray the spoiler inside. I'm going to take it outside and set the sawhorses up out there because I don't have time to clean up a huge mess in here. And this place is already a huge mess. Okay, so the heat gun worked to keep it at least sort of flashing in a decent amount of time. I won't know how it fully looks until tomorrow, unfortunately, because this is going to take forever to dry at like 45 or 50 degrees outside. I'm just glad that I had a day that was not raining that I could do this outside because this would have made a crazy mess in the shop. And I can't afford to have any more of a mess in the shop. After a 12-hour night shift and a little bit of sleep, come out here and take a look at this thing. I gotta say, I'm not super happy with how this turned out. I think it could have come out a little more even. Overall, I think it's a really big improvement from how it was. And I'm gonna run it. The ducts turned out decent. Quackingly good. Oh my gosh, I'm so funny. But one of the issues that I have is that, first off, I don't have the lower grill painted, so I can't just go ahead and slap it on. And the other issue is that I don't have any holes in the fender. So I have to make holes in the fender, which is extremely frustrating that I wasn't able to do that before. But I didn't really have any way to know where stuff was going to end up. Fortunately, I have a template here in the form of a parts car, which tells me exactly where these need to line up. So I'm going to get some tape and make myself a template. So what I ended up doing was using some painter's tape and made some templates and just wrote down some measurements here. So I got 7 3/8 from the bottom, 3 inches from the bottom, and 8 inches from the front or from the back of the wheel opening to that hole. What's funny is the passenger side. 7 inches, 3 inches, 7 3/4. Huh. Not exactly precision measuring and factory cutouts. So I'm going to transfer these to the blue car and see what happens. Oh, now for the stressful part. So I'm going to use my Sharpie and I'm just going to mark these holes. Like, try to, I don't know if I can do this and hold the camera at the same time. I'm just going to try to I'll mark the center of each one of the holes. And our really low 8-inch one here. And I'll do the same on the other side. Actually, I haven't done the other side yet. I'm waiting to see how this works. So if I carefully peel this off of here, try not to damage it in case I need to move my marks. So I have a dot there, and a dot up here. So then what I'll do is I'm going to shade those in a little bit more. So I'm going to try this. Try to do this again here. Make my dots a little more pronounced. Can I see the dot through the tape? And the answer is not particularly. I was hoping for a compliant piece of painter's tape. So what I'm going to have to do is just kind of use it like a tracing. All right, well, that was definitely the most stressful part of my day. That turned out pretty good. I'm going to do the other side off camera because I don't have very much room on the other side of the car. So that's all the time I have to film for today. This is probably the nicest day we're going to have in a while. So I'm going to try to do this off camera. I've got to come up with a way to suspend all three of these items so that I can spray them and get them to dry in a reasonable amount of time when it's like 50 degrees out, maybe 50 degrees. No, it says 44. So it might be too cold to paint these here. So it doesn't look like I'm going to get to these today. I'm going to have to come up with a system to hang these somehow and make sure that they all... So those of you that have followed the project for a while, you'll realize that this car had been on manholes for a long time, and now it's on twists. I do like the twists, but these aren't the wheels that are going to go on it most of the time. The twists will stay on here for like rallies and stuff like that. But I had a custom set of wheels made. They're on the way. They're being shipped. I'm hoping they show up before the event that I have in January that I'm trying to get this car done for. So more on that later. I'm not going to spoil it until they get here, but it's kind of a mix of the old wheels and the new. So hopefully they look and fit good. Took a big risk on measurements and stuff like that, so we will see how the new wheels turn out when they get here. That being said, I have a huge list of stuff to do and not much time to do it, so I'm going to get to it off camera. So until next time, get out there and work on something.